Welcome back. All right, so there are four storylines right now in the National Hockey League that we should see resolved quickly, that should be figured out relatively quickly. I wanted to talk about. I want to start off talking about the Ottawa Senators and the continuing drama with the ownership bid. Sens fans are getting kind of frustrated with how long this process is taking. The final bids were what, 2 weeks ago? And it felt like, all right, so it's done. Then there was Nico Sparks, who was looking for more money, and then he lashed out on the weekend on Twitter at fans of the Sens, which it's not a great look. Even if you're frustrated with the narrative around your bid, and the narrative being that Sparks looking for money and maybe there isn't the money behind that bid. Yeah, you don't want to be seen lashing out at the fans. It's not a great look. And so there's a lot of, well, now we want to see this bid win, or we don't want to see this bid win. But the reality is, according to the official line of all of this, Bruce Garriock is reporting that they hope to have it wrapped up this week, which I'm pretty sure was what was said last week as well. And so I can't put it in a news video. These are all items I can't really put in a news video on its own because we don't have an update on it. And we need to see the ownership situation clarified when it comes to the Ottawa Senators. I have no doubt that the ownership that's in place right now that is selling the team is capable of running the day to day and making sure that checks go out on time and all of that. But they need that uncertainty clarified because we're getting to that time of year where you're looking to sign new contracts, you're looking to potentially bring in free agents, and one thing that you want to have is that stability from ownership through to their general manager and the coaching position. And so, yeah, the Sens really need to have that ownership question figured out. And I mean, this week we're almost into June, so yeah, it's time. And yeah, I understand Sens fans being frustrated. And as soon as Bruce Garriock reported, yeah, they hope to have it done this week, and they've been doing a lot of talking over the weekend. There was some eye rolling from Sens fans, and I get it. And then there's Arizona. The Coyotes officially have been pretty quiet. I did see an article today from Craig Morgan saying that it is time for Alex Mariuello to step forward and officially say something about the ongoing process of finding a new place to play and what the plan is going forward. And they need to figure this out. Now, I don't know how long the NHL's giving them. I know the NHL's giving them some time to figure this out. But again, if we're in a situation where if they figure out somewhere in Arizona to play, they'll play beyond this coming season and mullet. And if they're going to say, okay, well, maybe we'll look somewhere else. I mean, you have to have a timeline here. You have to have a plan. Because again, putting up a new building takes some time. And the hope was to get that one built in Tempe for 3 years down the road. Well, those hopes are gone. So I would think you're at least adding another year by going into a new process with a new location, even if that's Mesa, which is the most likely spot for them to go if they stay in Arizona. But again, it's a matter of where. And I don't think the NHL should be giving them a ton of time to go through the process. And by a ton of time, I mean not like 6 months, 8 months, a year. This should be okay. We've got a new plan, because otherwise there are locations that would absolutely take an NHL team. We've talked about Houston, Salt Lake City, who have had meetings with the NHL. We know Atlanta wants to get back into the, I know. And of course, then there's the Quebec question for most Canadian hockey fans. And so we need some clarity when it comes to the Arizona Coyotes. And I think we need that sooner rather than later. They did put out the statement saying we want to stick around. Their social media is making it sound like, yeah, we're staying in Arizona, but there's still that debate out there of whether or not that ship has sailed with the no vote in Tempe. So again, there's some resolution that's needed there. It's this wide open storyline, and there hasn't been a resolution to it as of yet. So and I really wish there was one way or the other, whether they're going to move or they're not. Figure it out. Obviously, you can't stay in mullet forever, and you can't just wait around forever and say, we're going to find a place in Arizona, don't worry about it. You got to get it straightened out. And then there's the new GMs, which are needed for Toronto and Pittsburgh. We're a few weeks out from the draft. And you have to be planning for the draft pretty early. Now, it's possible that with the scouting staffs that both Pittsburgh and Toronto have, it might be fine. And in Pittsburgh and Toronto's cases, both teams are known for trading away draft picks. So it's possible both teams look at the draft and go, we could do this without a GM. But the reality is, I think you want to have that GM in place before the draft, to go through the draft, to go through the process trying to re-sign players. And it's going to be really important in Toronto's case because you want to make sure you're bringing in a GM who is going to be able to talk guys into sticking around. And if they can't, you want to make sure it's a GM who then can get the most in return in a trade. You want somebody who's smart about their ability to trade really, high value assets. In Pittsburgh, it's a bit of a different story. A lot of the key pieces are signed long term. It's about trying to build that team back up into a playoff team and see if you can make them a contender again. So a bit of a different scenario, but for Toronto, they are a contender that's trying to stay there and hopefully get over the hump. And for Pittsburgh, they're a team that fell below the playoff line that are trying to get back into contention. So the question I have for people is, so is Andlauer going to be the new owner? And if it's as obvious as it looks, that Michael Andlauer in that bid should probably win it, I do wonder what the delay has been so far. And then what's your prediction with Arizona? How long will the NHL give them? Because again, it's been, we're disappointed in the vote. No, we're going to stick around. We're going to try to make it work here. And then mostly radio silence. And so I would love to know what exactly the plan is going to be in as soon as possible in these two cases, especially because these are important questions for these franchises. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.